If you're looking for the perfect exercises to blow up your triceps and get those arms popping, I got you. Stay locked in on this video as I break down my top 5 exercises to get bigger triceps and get those arms poking out of your t-shirts. Welcome to another episode of Muscle Building Techniques. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Liftaholics TV. Today, I'm going to show you how to blow those triceps up. And of course, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I'm the biggest fan of cable machines. So you know that's what we're going to kick it off today. So let's get into it. When you're trying to grow your triceps, you need to make sure that you're hitting them from different angles. So I've picked 5 different exercises that help you grow your triceps, and you're hitting them from different angles, up top, down low, every angle that you can imagine. But first, we're going to start with the overhead tricep extension. If you want to build bigger triceps, you have to incorporate some exercises coming from the overhead position. Now, you can do this exercise with the dumbbell, but again, my preference is with the cable. So I'm going to show you 2 different ways to hit those triceps overhead. First overhead exercise we're going to do single arm. Now, I always like to incorporate some exercises where I'm just isolating one arm at a time. And then, of course, we'll get in some exercises where we're moving the weight with both arms. But it's really important that you use exercises that you can isolate each tricep muscle at a time and really just focus in on that one arm at a time. Now, when you're in this bottom position right here, I'm just going to pull it up overhead right here. I got to make sure that this elbow right here stays in the same position. If it starts dipping or rising, I'm going to miss my tricep. So I'm going to go right here from point A to point B. If your elbows are not in the right position when we're doing these cable exercises, you're completely going to miss your triceps. So that's something that we're going to touch on throughout this video, is making sure that our elbows are locked in place or in the right position to effectively hit your tricep muscle. We can do this exercise from the up top position too. This time we're going to go with both hands. So this time when I do this exercise, I just want to take a step forward and I'll make sure my elbows are locked in right around where my head is. And I'm extending all the way out. And as soon as I get out to the top position, I want to spread my arms out like this. So I'm keeping my head in the pocket right here. Then I'm going back and forth, hands closed. Now they extend out. What is up, guys? It's Marlon here, just reminding you guys that if you're liking the video, if you're feeling the channel, go ahead and make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button. This will only further help me understand what kind of content you guys are feeling, what you guys are vibing with, and which ones you are not. But make sure you don't get out of here without hitting that subscribe button. That is only going to help and push this channel a little bit further. Back to the video. Both exercises from the overhead position are great exercises to add when you're trying to blow up your triceps. So make sure you try both of these exercises your next arm day and see which one you feel the most, see which exercise you have the most connection with. Let's move on to the next exercise. As next exercise is a staple in your tricep program, you should always have this one in here, just like I do, is a tricep pushdown. So you can use this exercise with 3 different pieces of equipment. All of them are going to be effective. You can use them all in different ways, but essentially the movement is all going to be the same, except when you're using a rope, you can get a little bit more extension and a little bit more tension at the bottom position than you would with the other pieces of equipment. So I'm going to break down all 3 of them. So when you're using a rope, you can always get a little bit more extension at the bottom part. You know, if you're using a triangle or you're using a straight bar, you can't get that extension at the bottom, twisting my hands out, spreading my hands out. Kind of like how we do with the overhead tricep extension to get that little piece at the back end of the exercise. So of course, if you ever come into the gym and you see somebody just pumping a weight like this, they're really just missing the mark entirely on tricep. First off, you need to make sure that you're leaning into the rope, leaning into the cable machine. So I want to make sure that my back is nice and straight, nice and tall. I just want to get a little bit of lean right in here. Now I got my elbows locked into place. And when I come down, I'm stretching my hands out just like this. Then I'm using a good tempo, coming right back up. And then I'm right back down here. Little pause right here can't hurt you. Then I'm going right back up to the top. Right here, I got my elbows locked in. So I'm getting this full stretch all the way back up to the top. Fully extending my tricep all the way out. Then right back to the bottom. The triangle and the straight bar are just going to put your hands at a little bit different position with the rope. When you're using a rope, you kind of got the ability to move the rope around in an unstable position, but you also have the flexibility to stretch your hands out at the bottom. Here with the triangle and with the straight bar, you're going to be in a more fixed position and it's going to lock everything into place. So when I'm doing this, I'm just using the same cues that I would with the rope, but I'm really focusing, making sure that I'm using the eccentric portion of the movement to my benefit. I don't want to just pump the weight back and forth and cut the movement short. I want to make sure I'm extending my triceps all the way up to the top and bottom. The biggest thing that I have to make sure I'm doing, again, is my elbow position. So here it's really easy to want to flare my elbows out here and just push the weight down right here. This isn't doing anything for your triceps. This is not how you're gonna maximize the exercise and get bigger arms. If I keep my elbows nice and tucked right here, right up against my body, that's gonna help me just move the weight with only my triceps, nothing else. This next exercise is my personal favorite. I love to do this again with the cable machine. I feel like I got a lot more connection using it with the cables than I do the dumbbells. But if you're someone that can feel it in the dumbbell section, don't be afraid to use the dumbbells or the cable or whatever you feel the most. For me personally, I like using a cable machine, so that's what we're gonna use today. Some people like to put this cable on the bottom position. I like it so it's level, so when I'm coming down here, my arm is literally parallel with my body before I get started. And again, that elbow position is gonna be essential. So I gotta make sure that that elbow is just locked into place right next to my body and not poking out here. I make sure it's tucked in, and then the back end of the exercise, I can twist my hand to the outside of my body. It's gonna help me get a little bit more tension on that tricep. If you're rushing while doing any of these exercises, if you're not reaching a full range of motion when doing any of these exercises, you're not gonna be able to maximize them. That's not what's gonna help you blow up your triceps. Really need to take your time and use all of these exercises with good tempo, or you're not gonna get where you wanna be at. Let's move on to the next exercise. One of my favorite exercises to build my triceps is definitely the close grip bench. I can come over here and I can put a lot heavier load on than I can when I'm doing, tricep pushdowns. I'm not doing 200 pounds using a straight bar or the rope or whatever I'm using on a cable machine. Just the reality of it. In order to get a good tempo, make sure I'm doing a good range of motion, I really don't need that much weight on the cables. So when I use the close grip, I put a little heavier load on my triceps than I can on any other exercise. So the only thing I need to do to effectively hit my triceps on this exercise is make sure that my hand position is more inward than it would be if I do the regular bench press. Now, the biggest thing, you've probably seen people doing this on your Instagram feed, maybe even in person. I'm not gonna bounce this bar off my chest and act like I'm trying to break my sternum or something like that. I wanna make sure I'm using a good tempo, especially with the close grip. You're really just trying to get in a nice stretch with your tricep on this. There's no need to bounce it off your chest and have a bounce party and use heavier weight than what you can lift. You wanna really try and get somewhere between 8 to 10 reps at least, so you can really put that tension on your tricep. This isn't a time to come over here and half rep. It's a time and place for half and partial reps. Doing a close grip is not a place for it. So if I'm bouncing a bar off my chest, if I'm half repping or partial repping it, then I'm just completely missing the point of doing the close grip bench press. I wanna make sure I'm extending and reaching all the way up to the top. If you want to take it even further, you can get a slight little pause on your chest and bring the bar to a dead stop position. That's just going to make the rep a little bit harder. But if you're half repping it, if you're having a bounce party with the bar off your chest, you're not going to maximize the exercise. To close out the workout, I always like to do dips whenever I'm hitting my triceps. I've always been a big advocate of being able to move your own body weight, whether it's push-ups, pull-ups, dips. It's always good to master that aspect of lifting. When you're in the weight room, you always want to be able to move your own body weight. It's really important. So the biggest thing with the dips when you're trying to hit your tricep, if I was hitting my chest and focusing on my chest, I would try and get a slight lean forward when I'm doing the dips. But when I'm trying to maximize and emphasize the tricep, I want to make sure that my body is straight up and down when I'm doing dips. That's going to keep the emphasis on my tricep a little bit more than it would if I'm leaning forward. This is also another exercise that people love to cut the movement short. You want to make sure you're stretching all the way to the bottom and extending all the way back up to the top. Do not cut the movement short or you're not going to get the most out of the exercise. That is it, guys, for triceps. I hope you were able to take something from this video. If you were, make sure you don't get out of here without hitting that subscribe and notification button so you can be up to date on any videos that I post in the future. I'll see you next time.